Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the South African Cricket Podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Delace here with me. Tim, I don't think there's a lot of cricket happening around the country, well, in the Highveld, because all this rain is stopping it. But how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I was doing better. I mean, it is slightly off topic, but I was doing better. Literally 5 minutes ago, I saw breaking news that we will not be playing Australia, talking about Australia, until 2030, and in most likelihood won't be a two-test series. It will be a two-test series. So you can imagine, I'm
So
annoyed by
after
that.
next year when we play them at home,
Yeah.
we're only going to see them in 2030.
In Australia, the next time we see them in Australia it's going to be 2030, and in all likelihood, two-test series.
I don't know what happened with us. Like it looks like we just made them angry, or we're just fighting each other. But you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
It's sad news for the world of cricket, but yeah, there's nothing we can do. Yeah, obviously, we're the South African Cricket Podcast. We talk all things South African cricket, just like we just did there. Please do follow us on SA Cricket Pod on X. Like and subscribe to the South African Cricket Podcast YouTube channel, which is mostly where you're watching. Also, we're available on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Just search for the South African Cricket Podcast. And then, yeah, you can also buy some coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SA Cricket Pod. The QR code, there's one on the top left of your screen where you can, click on that and activate that. And then for the YouTube viewers, there's also one on the right, at the bottom right. That'll always be throughout the show for you to do that as well. You can also send us your emails and your comments at sacricketpod@gmail.com. On the Buy Me a Coffee, we don't do this for the love of cricket alone, and your contributions have gone a long way in rebranding, in changing the way we do this in the format of the show. If you know us from before, and so we really do appreciate it. And yeah, keep supporting us. And yeah, as we get the show on the road, I was actually looking at the accreditation for the World Cup next year in February, and I'm like, actually, we need to get to one of these tournaments because I think in 2027 we might be denied access to the stadium because we weren't covering ICC tournaments. So that's going to be something we're going to have to try to figure out. But you can help us so we can bring you raw emotion from stadiums and different cathedrals around the world. Okay, today show is about the SA20. The SA20 is set to start on Boxing Day in South Africa this year. It's really different because obviously this year we don't have Test cricket. So, true to form, as we know, Graham Smith and his genius product and his genius mind, he was like, no, don't worry. I got you guys. And so we have an SA20 starting on the 26th of December in Newlands. MI Cape Town is taking on Durban SuperGiants. And this tournament will go all the way to the final, which will also be held at Newlands on the 25th of Jan. We went through the auction about a month and a half ago, and so we had that show. So if you want to go back to our archives, you can go look at our thoughts on the auction. But now, this is the preview show. About 15 days before, we're going to be talking all things SA20. This is going to be your guide to what the teams are, and we're ready to go. We're going to go through each of the teams and discuss where we think they're strong, where we think they're weak, and the like. So, yeah, Tim, what are you excited for this SA20 season? Because now it's starting in December. It's not, there's no Test cricket, but surely this is the next best that we could have.
Look, I don't want to regurgitate my issues with the SA20. If you've listened to the podcast, you know what they are. You know my concerns. My concerns are still there. But of course, I want to see young up and coming talent doing well against international players. So of course I'm excited. I want to see guys that you and I know are good players that have been doing it well at the front, who are now getting a chance against international players performing. Because whether I like it or not, that will benefit South African cricket. And it really has benefited, in terms of the World Cups, the T20 side. We can maybe argue as to how much, but it has definitely benefited the T20 side having an international high quality competition played over our summer. That's unquestionable. So I am with the reservations that I repeatedly go on about, but they are there.
Well, based on what happened 2 nights ago in India, I'm not so sure, but being bowled out for 78, having India against the ropes with the ball, and still having them score 178 and 44 in the last 5. There's still chances for people to make the team. World Cups in February. This is the moment for everyone to kind of put their hands up and get through. So we've got to go through all 6 teams. So let's start with the defending champions, MI Cape Town. We've got some graphics for you to kind of, help you guys have a sense. Let me, this is the wrong team. There we go. MI Cape Town, the defending champions. They bring back Trent Bolt. They have Rashid Khan, Corbin Bosch, was it Rassie van der Dussen? Reza Hendricks also comes back from the auction. Karim Janat is in. Rashid Khan, Dan Latakhan, who is a rising star, a youngster. George Linder, Tristan Luce, also an under-23 player. Tom Moores from the UK. I think he's a wicketkeeper batter. Nicholas Puran, we all know him. He's box office. Kagiso Rabada. Ryan Rickleton. I love how Tim's scratched out to Brace Shamsi, who has been replaced by Thomas Caber there at the bottom. Jason Smith, Jacques Snyman, Dane Pete, Dwayne Pretorius, Tian van Vuren, and obviously Thomas Caber. Tim, when I look at this team, I go and ask myself, can they go back to back? Chances are very, very high. Yes, Tim, it's just an interesting one just for all these players, right? It's much of the same old. They haven't moved on from a lot, but having Trent Bolt come back with Kagiso gives them the edge over with the ball, which is something I thought they had last year. And then obviously with Ricks and Rassie, who's in good form, they have I think they have a good batting lineup actually. One of the best in the tournament, and they didn't want to change much in the auction, and it shows. And why change a good thing?
Yeah, I know this is a strong squad. They'll be there or thereabouts, no doubt about it. In my opinion, I really do think that this is a very strong team. Look, Tobias is going to the Big Bash. I perfectly understand it. He would not be playing a lot of cricket with Rashid Khan there. Let's be honest, he wouldn't. Rashid Khan's going to play every game. George's probably going to get a handful of games. They might even play together. So it makes perfect sense from his point of view, to go to a league where he's going to play on a more consistent basis. But that aside, very strong squad, covers all bases. I'm looking forward to seeing Tristan Luce and Tian van Vuren. Left arm and right arm youngsters with genuine pace, good bounce, good carry. They're going to be good in those early spells. You only got 4 overs in this format, so they're going to be told, go out there, bowl 145, clicks, make it scary. It could be very, very exciting. Obviously, with KG, the 3 of them together at one point could be very exciting.
Yeah, it could be very exciting. Just a couple of things to note. I think the only weakness is that lower middle order. They're going to have to try figure out, how it works. Obviously, I haven't seen Tom Moores, but I'm assuming he comes, with a whole lot of with a big reputation. Deva Brevis leaving the side is a massive loss for them. But you've got Ricks, who is the #1 run scorer in the history of SA20. You've also got Rassi, who with 1,000. Well, Rix is 1,012 runs, and Rassi has 964 runs as the number 4. They'll be looking to them. I thought the Reza Hendricks steal at the back end of the draft was a steal at the back end of the draft. It's just obviously they've got their top order sorted. It's just that middle to lower order, and the other person who actually did well for them was Connor Eesthuizen, who is not in the side as well. So that lower to middle order for me, Tim, is where it's gonna go. It kind of feels to me like that the team in the first two SA20s where you had was a Sam Curran in there. Rashid tried to bat at 6. It didn't work. Then in the next year they brought who did they bring? The West Indian just escapes me his name, but it'll come back later on. And that also didn't work out. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. A lot's going to be on Dwayne Pretorius' shoulders, but 4, 5, 6, and 7. I think Puran's going to bat at 4, but 5, 6, and 7. George will bat at 7, but 5 and 6 is my worry there. Jason Smith is going to probably get a lot of game time, and to a certain extent, maybe even Tom Moore's there as well. So that's the question mark, but it's not the biggest of question marks. Let's move on to the next team, which is the team they beat, the team that three-peated, well, that didn't three-peat, they were denied the three-peat. The Sunrisers Eastern Cape, still a largely Eastern Cape feel for Adrian Burrell and his men. Johnny Bairstow comes in. Matthew Bretsky obviously continues. James Coles, Quinton de Kock was probably the pick in the auction of the early round, and he's looking very good right now. Ala Gazanfa, Louis Gregory, Jordan Herman, Marco Janssen, the King brothers CJ and JP, Patrick Kruger, Adam Milne, Senran Muchisami, Anuf Nokia, Luto Sipamla, Tristan Stubbs, Bear Swanepoel, Mitch van Buren, and Chris Wood. Look, every year I look at the Sunrisers and I'm like, yeah, still pretty strong. The question for me is the form of Stubbs, the form of de Kock, and the form of Bairstow. That's where, for me, this season lies on for them. Marco's going to come as advertised. It's just those 3 players. They need to be hot from ball 1, effectively. Yes, you can say it's a long season, and Quinton is showing us glimpses of his former self. He needs to be he needs to do that on a consistent basis now for them. And then Johnny Bairstow. I look at Johnny and I'm like, look, you're an international player, you're a senior player. I haven't seen you play cricket in a while. I hear that they might be calling you back for the Ashes. The British fans are asking for you to come back. That would be a massive loss for them if Johnny decided to be like, actually, I don't need to go to South Africa. But also Tristan Stubbs and Anuf Nokia, I think they are very key to this team winning. They've got a really good squad on paper, probably slightly better than MI Cape Town. It's just obviously a question of form, and everyone else I think who isn't named that we've named are actually on form. The King brothers did well in the T20 challenge. Matthew Bretsky is on a tear in ODI cricket. Can it translate to T20? We shall find out. Jordan Hadman's been hit or miss, but a lot more hits than misses. Bear Swanepoel has had a lot of game time for the Lions. Mitch van Buren also, the Lions didn't play well. He also didn't play well there. Luto Sipamla is in India. He did well, and he looks like he's getting back into the form that we hope for him to be in. So there's a lot to happen here. I think, very Eastern Cape flavor, but Tim, very strong squad.
I like the squad. Again, pace. I'm looking forward to seeing Adam Milne and Nokia together. That's going to be exciting. Nokia yesterday was rapid, absolutely rapid, back to his best. It was really good to see Nokia back to his best, bowling really, really quickly. So that's a huge plus for them. That hopefully that will be maintain the case when this competition starts. I think Brits is going to have a fantastic tournament. I think Quinton de Kock now back at the Proteas side, I think that gives them an extra boost. As in, I've got a reason to perform. Yes, I'm going to be in the squad, but I want to make sure he is, but I just want to make sure that I am the opener of the Proteas setup. So therefore, quality opposition. I want to be. I want to double nail it in the coffin without any discussion. Jordan Herman has been in recent good form, and the King brothers. I think the King brothers are ones to watch out for in this competition. We know they're incredibly talented. I think they're just about finding their talent is just about coming through now on a more consistent basis for them, which is good to see. Chris Wood will be good because he's got lots of changes in pace, which this team doesn't have a lot of. He's got a lot of slow balls and the like, so that will be good from that point of view, because you've got a lot of pace there. Marco, Adam, and Nokia. That's a lot of pace. You want somebody to take it off a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very strong squad. They're gonna try and make it a third one this year, and I think my money might be on them. They look good. When they walked out of the auction, Tim, you kind of felt like, they had done their business, and they had probably done the best business in the league. Next team is the Durban's Supergiants. This team always flatters, and then all of a sudden it's a question of they fall. They don't get over the line. They'll be hoping that this year will be their year. They don't have Quinton de Kock this year, but they do have Marcus Ackerman, David Bedingham, Ethan Bosch, Josh Butler, Devin Conway, Joe Kutsia, Tony DeZorzi, Darren DePavalon, Diane Khalim, Tajul Islam, Evan Jones, Heinrich Clausen, Aidan Markram, Sunil Narayan, Nur Ahmed, Andile Simelani, David Visa, Gijsbert Weche, who's a very interesting youngster, Gwena Mapaka, as well as a youngster moving from Paarl, and Kane Williamson. They use the auction to get big name players. Aidan Markram was the biggest name they got. They managed to get Gwena Mapaka in through the door to support the team, and he's going to have he has to have a breakthrough season this year. I think it's a big one for Gwena. Then they went and got Gerald Kutsia. Injuries aside, Gerald still is a terrifying bowler in this format. He'll be looking to get back into the Proteas, so this tournament is really, really important for him. But the Josh Butler, Aidan Markram opening pairing could be something. I don't think they should open with Devin Conway. I think you want to go Universe Josh with Aidan at the top. But having Heino Clausen back again as your marquee player, bringing Kane Williamson back, they look good. I just have a lot of questions around the bowling.
Yeah. I'm the same. The right side, the side where Evan Jones is, that side, I like all those names. All those names cover bases. Even Hespert's a youngster. Good to see South African youngsters getting a chance. But I like that on the right side. There's players on the right side. The left side, I've got lots of questions. Outside of Josh and Marcus, I've got lots of questions. Where is Gerald at the moment? Is Gerald anywhere near his best? I'm not sure. I like Darren, but I think in this competition he might get. He's at the downward spiral of his career. It's coming to the end. I think he might get tonked around. Same with Khalim. Khalim's a guy that they wanted because they wanted changes in pace. I don't think he does it as well as other people. Devin Conway, again, I'm not sure about Devin Conway anymore. Was a very good player. I don't think he is a top quality anymore. This isn't David Bellingham's best format. I'm worried for this team. I really am. Unless the people on the right, unless Ryan and Ahmed spin people in a complete inner web and Heinrich Clausen goes berserk, I think this team's going to struggle. I really do.
Yeah, look, it reminds me of that first squad that the Durban Supergiants brought through. That season wasn't the best of seasons, and it just fell. You just were like, but guys, we know this. Then they were going for everybody who was an all-rounder. the squad moved to everybody who was a KZN native. Now they've tried to mix and match, but again, I think they fell short in the auction trying to get some of the bowlers, some of the fast bowlers. They put a lot of faith into Gwena, put a lot of faith into Gerald, who subsequently post the auction has gotten injured. Dan de Pavilon. Look, I don't rate Dan Khalim. He's going to play a lot of games for them this season. I just don't rate him, right? And I do think maybe he might be a Corbin Bosch type of guy where if the moment you throw him into the Proteas, he'll shine and he'll spark. But at this point in time, I don't see it going. You can see with the Titans, he was kind of like the senior bowler in the CSA T20 challenge this year. It didn't work out. So I'm not sure. This team is set for Durban. All those spinners, Narayan, No Ahmed, and Taijul Islam, most likely that's what you're going to get. If they are saying, if it's like the CSA T20 this year where it was coastal format. It was coastal type pitches, low scoring pitches, spinners coming into the game a lot more. If you think about it for them, right, they've got 5 games at home, a game in Paarl, a game in Newlands, and then potentially a game in Quebec. You can be 50-50 with that, but I think they'll take their chances. So 8 games on the coast in flatter conditions where spinners can come into the game and boss it. All the other 2, Wanderers and Centurion, they don't need to worry about it. So it's just a question of at the top of the order, during the power play, you might concede a lot of runs. After that, you can pull them back, but it depends on the damage that you've conceded in those first couple of overs as to what's going to happen. And I would have loved another pacer, another out-and-out pacer, an experienced pacer alongside Gwena if Gerald is 50-50 at this point in time. And that for me is the only thing. And Gwena's also 50-50. He's coming back from injury. So it's just the fast bowling thing and that lower middle order. A lot of pressure is going to be on Evan Jones. Evan Jones is literally, him and Heino Klaassen are going to try and piece together that middle order, which is fine because the game doesn't stop until Classy's out. We know that. But up until we get there, is Sunil Narayan going to be in there? Is Kane Williamson going to be batting at 4? We've got a lot of openers, right? And I suspect Aiden might be actually coming in lower down the order. You go Joss, you go Devin, and then you go Kane and Aiden, and then you've got probably Sunil Narayan, Classy, and potentially Evan Jones in there. But still, as you say, there's a lot of question marks, and we've spoken about that team. So I think it might be another disappointing season in Durban. But let's hope the spinners come through. Let's hope they come through. Okay, the next team, JSK. Oh, Tim, I have so much about this team. Okay, Nandre Berger comes back. Faf is obviously back as captain at age, 44. 41. Dion Forrester, exciting talent coming out of domestic cricket. Donovan Ferreira, he needs to, be the guy as the wild card. Richard Gleeson is back as a bowler. I think he was with SEC previously. Akil Hussain, I'm a fan of his. Brandon King's no longer coming. He was substituted by, we'll talk about that, Matthew de Villiers. Rivaldo Munsami, who's had a great SAA, and he'll be hoping to make a name for himself in this format. Vian Mulder comes back, the 50-51. We don't know what we're going to get with Vian Mulder in this format. Shubnam Ranjane, the American, is also in. Jorg van Skalkwijk, the exciting youngster. Riley Rousseau joins the JSK. Janku Smit, Steve Stolk, Prenlin Subrian, Imran Tahil, Neil Timmers, a very exciting youngster. Reese Topley, James Vince, Daniel Worrell, Jaren Bacher, and Matthew de Villiers. Another disappointing squad for me, Tim. I look at this team, and as you say, there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of question marks on literally if you're not named Faf du Plessis, Nandre Berger. I don't know what you're going to give me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. This could be very good. If they all come off, it could be very exciting. They could actually put pressure on Sunrisers. But it could also flop. Where exactly is Riley? Riley smashing runs in Division 2 T20 competition is one thing. Where is he in this? Where's Steve Stock? Steve Stock has struggled for a while now. Jonathan Ferreira, we can do it in the domestic front. Can he do it in the franchise competition? I like Forrester. I think Forrester will come through eventually. But is the step up against this quality opposition a bit too much at this point in his career? What are they doing with Vian? Where is he going to bat? It's a lot of questions. I have to say, I'm very interested to see how my boy Matthew de Villiers gets on. I'm delighted for him. Leading run scorer of the T20 Challenge, getting the gig. Hopefully he gets some game time. You would think he does get some game time. But you're right, there's lots of questions. I love Emmy, but surely there's better younger spinners in the country that you could go to at this point. I love the guy. Love his energy, but yeah. There
was a point in the auction where it was Tahir or Shamsi, and they chose Tahir. And I get that, but the man's 45. Like, how long are you going to be leaning on him, right? Faf's at the twilight of his career. You then still went and you double down on old players. Riley is at the back end of his career. Don't talk to me about James Vince. I don't understand why he's here. Shubnam Ranjani, yes, worked in the MLC. Is it going to work here? I don't know. Dan Worrell, you can go back 3 years. I was like, I don't know who this guy is. He's a decent bowler. I'm not sold on him, right? Then you go to the youngsters, right? And they're young. So they are also learning, right? So Steve Stock, I hope he has a great tournament. Yanku Smith's the fastest guy here, but he's still young. He's playing for the Titans this week, which is really, really awesome. And I hope that it's a start for him. But again, a lot of unknowns in this team. Subrian, is it the best format for him? Not so sure. Look, let's go to the other side. I've said a lot about Vian in T20. Look, if he's gonna have to be, he's gonna be one of the top 3 run scorers, right? Then the other thing is, where is Leus Duploy?
I know.
Where is Leus Duploy? He is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 highest run scorer in the entire tournament. I'd rather you go back to that Hungarian than give me this. But again, excited to see Deon Forrester. But again, it's a bit of a step up for some of the domestic performers. Will they be able to do it? Chances are they will. But when I look at the squad, it's worse than Durban Supergiants. There's no marquee player here. If you think Faf du Plessis is your marquee player in the year of our Lord 2025, you're in for a massive, massive surprise. And I know they wanted Devo Brevis. They didn't get him. But adding Devo Brevis to this team does not change anything. And you kind of feel like they ran out of money, and then all of a sudden we went down the well of the Rileys, the Smith, the Subrians, the Tahirs, the Worrells, and the Vinces. No, guys, I'm sorry, but again, probably the team that's going to come last. It's not going to be great in Joburg. We hope they do well, but I think if you're a Joburg fan, prepare yourself to just watch other teams play against you, because I'm not here. I'm not here for this. Really, really not here. Okay, let's go to the Pink Army. They call themselves the Paarl Royals. They even changed their logo. They've decided to put the Stellenbosch Mountain Range in their logo. And here we go. Exciting youngster, Asa Tribe, starts off there, largely because his name is Asa. I like it. Bjorn Fortuin comes back. Dan Lawrence, David Miller, Delano Potgieter, Eshan Malinga, Gudakesh Moti of the West Indies, Hardest Viljoen still gets a gig in 2025, Jakob Johannes Besson, JJ, he's an exciting youngster. Keegan Leon-Cachet has done really well for the Titans this season. Carl Verena comes in as the other wicketkeeper. I think Leon-Cachet might deputize to him, but he's also a handy bat. Carl needs to prove himself here. I think Carl has been underrated in this format. They kept Luandre Pretorius, Mujib Ur Rahman, Ngobani Mukwena from the Dolphins comes in. Ngaba Yomzi Peter, who's been in the Protea setup. He's a Protea, very good spinner. Again, someone that JSK let go. Didn't want to pick him, but they went for Tahir. Otniel Bartman, Ruben Harman, Sikandar Vishen Halambaje, and Thomas Rue, exciting youngster who might not come because the English really, really need batters right now. But anyway, I like the squad. Unlike the other two we've just had, right? They obviously are leaning on David Miller as their marquee player who is still in his prime. Don't tell me otherwise. They've got, proven T20 players. Bjorn Fortuin has been amazing in this format. He is the number 4 wicket taker in this format with 31 wicket takers at SA20. Obviously, they let go of Lungi Ngiti, but they've gone to Ngobani Mukwena. They've also gone Eshan Malinga. Obviously, from a fast bowling perspective, Tim goes pace. I don't see that here. But for where they play, they don't need that. They need guys who can turn their arm, who can bowl a lot of different balls, and they've got that in Bartman as well. Up front, Luandre is going to be amazing. Just filling out that batting lineup is going to be interesting with a couple of unknowns that we have. But Ruben Harman is someone I'm looking forward to seeing, and someone who's going to be really important to them. Sikandar Raza, don't write him off. Don't underestimate him. And then it's just a question of the risk that they took, right? The JJ Bassons, the Keegan Leon Cachets, the Acer Tribes, Thomas Rue, trying to figure out how to fill out that batting lineup until you get to David Miller. That's going to be quite interesting to see. They don't have Roots this year because he's busy over there in Australia. I think he might be wishing to be coming here instead of being there, being 2-0 down. But yeah, look, I like this team. I think from an underrated team, a team that you're going to say, if they were in the final, would you be surprised? I wouldn't be surprised because I think they're a sneaky good team there in Paarl.
Yeah, no, you're right. They've picked a squad that is going to be very good at home. Very competitive. I like it as well. Watch out on the English guys there. So watch out on Acer Tribe and Thomas Rue. In my opinion, both will be playing for England at one point in their careers. They definitely got the talent. So just watch out on Acer Tribe and Thomas Rue. Batsmen score good runs. Acer Tribes has scored 100 for England A in Australia. Not out. I like the squad though. I really do. I think from a South African perspective, obviously Luandre and Ruben. Ruben is a great touch at the moment. Personally, he should be playing for the South African side, in my opinion. But if you got those two there, you're absolutely right. I think Peter is good selection. We'll also learn from Mujib as well. Mujib is obviously more experienced.
And Kudakesh Moti. I think this is a very important season for him. Yeah. And Talana has been improving in this format every single season for the last 3 seasons. He's been getting better and better by playing against high quality opposition, and that has meant that he's now playing in overseas leagues. He's going to be very, very important for that glue in that middle order for them, as in to get quick runs if they do seem to struggle, because I think they don't need to, from this squad for me, I don't think they need to rely on Miller as much. I think Miller is, at the moment, seems to be struggling. I think he will still score runs, but I think last season they needed so much from him that it was almost too much. Whereas with this selection that they've got, I think they've covered that in that they don't need him to score runs in every single game. I think Sikandar Raza is a very good buy in this format. He just scores runs, this boy. He just scores runs against any opposition in any league. He's really, really high quality individual. He will definitely be very exciting. So it covers all bases. It will be a team to watch out for. Definitely.
It just might struggle a little bit at the Highveld, but otherwise should be good.
They only played 2 games in the Highveld. That's the good thing about it. And speaking about the other team that plays a game in the Highveld, it is the Pretoria Capitals, right? They don't have Anouk Nokia. They've got a lot of changes, but let's give you what they have. Daniel Smith is in the squad. Deval Brevis, Junaid Dawood, Connor Esterhazen makes a move up from MI Cape Town to Pretoria. Vian Libba. Will Jackson is unavailable because somehow they've discovered him as a spinning all-rounder in England. Vian Libba is now in. Keshav Maharaj is joins them. Sibonelo Makanya, Sakib Mahmood is unavailable now. Banda Majola, exciting youngster. Lungi Ngidi is one of the marquee fast bowlers. Keith Dudgeon also is a very handy fast bowler. Shai Hope, Craig Overton. Bryce Parsons was a really nice pick from them in the auction. Gideon Peters, Mikael Prince, Andre Russell joins them. Shafane Rutherford, Will Smead, Lazard Williams, Cody Youssef, Roston Chase comes and joins them, and so does Jordan Cox. Remember Jordan Cox? He was with the SEC in the first year. Roston Chase coming in is wild. But again, I look at this team and I go, I'm also very confused. Batting wise, Daniel Smith can step up. I think Shai Hope, Brevis, Esterhazen, Libba, Russell maybe, and Jordan Cox could give you something. And Will Smead as well. So they covered there. From a bowling perspective, Lazard is great in this format, but Lazard is great as a number 2. Right? Lungi is great, but he's lost a lot of pace. Keith Dudgeon doesn't push it as fast as you want. Are we really going to be relying on Gideon Peters to give you the pace? Yeah, they're fast bowling. Lungi is going to be great. I think Lazard will be fine. Keith Dudgeon's done well in obviously outside of the Highveld, but even then, you know, I'm not sure about the bowling. Also, you know, the spin bowling obviously got Keshav, who's really good, but after him, who's there? You know, Junaid Dawood is great, but yeah, they literally were like, actually, let's try to get as many batters as possible, some all-rounders as well, and we'll figure it out as we go along. I just hope they give Mikael Prince a chance, and I hope that Bryce Parsons gets a lot of game time. It was just muted there. I'll put it back up. Yeah, yeah, Cody Youssef is great. I think, yeah, it's putting a lot of pressure on him, but he can come through for them. Yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs. But yeah, it's between them and Paarl, I think, for like 3 and 4 for that eliminator, the way I see it. You know, I think the qualifier might still be MI and SEC based on all these squads. But I think, yeah. But again, Deval Brevis needs to have the season of his life for this team to move forward. What say you, Tim?
I'm not as negative. I do agree that sort of at the end of the auction, it's sort of like, okay, we've got to get somebody in. We've got to get somebody in because Will Jackson's not coming. Although I don't think they knew that at the time, because obviously he's in Australia. So there was that element of let's get a couple of guys that do both jobs, like a rostered Chase. So there was that element, but I still think they've covered everything. I think getting away with Fian, Libba, and Parsons, which are named to be your spinning options, is fine. There isn't a marquee spinner. That's the thing. There isn't a marquee quality spinner, but those guys can do a job. And they'll be fine. I would like to see, I don't know if they will do it, but I would like to see Brevis get some overs in here. I really would, because I think in terms of South Africa, if his spinning can come on leaps and bounds, it would add a huge asset to his game. Daniel Smith in the last 12 months has revolutionized his T20 cricket. Absolutely revolutionized. 12 to 18 months ago, it was everything behind square on the offside or leg side. Nothing straight. The last 12 to 18 months, it's hitting down the ground and hitting it powerfully. He's revolutionized his T20 game. So the loss of Jacks is absolutely clear, but with him and Shai Hope, who's a very good T20 cricketer, they're fine. They're covered. You're right. I want to see Bryce Parsons get more game time on a regular basis. It's finding 11. And that for me is a little bit tricky. Finding an 11. They've got a lot of options, but they don't have enough, what you would say, marquee. That is true. That is true. So having an 11 is going to be a little bit tricky. But I think if they can get the 11 correct and they perform, they'll be all right. They'll be there or thereabouts.
Look, and the way I look at it is for you to kind of, be a strong squad, you need to have a marquee with the bat and a marquee with the ball. Obviously, each team kind of had one marquee, but then based on performances throughout the last SA20s, you kind of need to find that gem, right? So, for instance, in my Cape Town has Kagiso, Trent is another marquee. That's in itself. But then they've got Rix, Riza, and Rassi, who are like in the top 10 of runs in this tournament, right? And Riza's the preeminent favorite. So that's why I think they're there, right? I'm not even talking about Rashid Khan. Rashid Khan's been a disappointment in SA20 over the past 3 seasons. I look at at Sunrisers. Sunrisers have Tristan, right, who you can call a marquee. He should be a marquee. But you've also got Marco Jansen and Anich Nokia. And on top of that, they've covered themselves with Quinny and Johnny Besto, right? So there's a potential that if there's that one batter to take you to have the amazing season, they've got 3 options there, right? And on the bowling side, they've got 2. I look at Paarl. Devin Miller's your marquee signing, right? Their issue is amongst their bowlers, Mujib, Othniel Bartman, one of them has to step up to be the marquee with the ball. But chances are they will fight between the Mujib and Othniel Bartman playing in Paarl, they're going to be a marquee for them, which is why I'm rating them a little bit more there. And obviously, Luandre is a growing marquee, so you've got 2 options there from the run side. I look at, JSK. That's your marquee with the bat. He's old. He's declining. Who's coming up? Don't talk to me about Donovan Ferreira. Don't talk to me about Donovan Ferreira. On the ball side, are you still telling me Imran's your best bowler at age 45? No. So that's why I'm looking. I'm like, guys, come on.
Yeah.
DSG went the other way. They've got Heino Klaassen. We know him, top of the order. Then they're like, actually, it's runs that matter. Aiden Markham. So they've got 2 with the batting. Right? So if one doesn't do well, the other one will. On the bowling side, they're obviously reliant on Kwena. They're reliant on Gerald. I look at that debate. They've got Taijul Islam. They've got Noor Ahmed, who's been sensational in SA20 from a spin bowling perspective. And 7 of their games are going to be on flattish pitches. So 7 out of 10 times, those guys will come through. Then Pretoria Capitals. You've got Devil Brevis. Not sure about, I'm just trying to look at it again. It's Brevis. You can say Andre Russell, but he's on the back end of his career. From a bowling perspective, is Lungi a marquee? I'd say yes. Obviously, Shai Hope is there. And then you go Keshav, Lungi and Keshav. Maybe they could do something. So the way I look at it, I'm like, obviously you're saying filling out around those 4 is going to be key. But I think, actually look at Pretoria Capitals might have a squad. But I look at that and I'm like, JSK, DSG, I don't know what you guys are doing. But all the other teams, maybe. But that's how I look at it. And that's why I believe. Because I look at MI and I'm like, proven performers throughout T20s in South Africa. SEC, slightly younger team, but domestic greatness happening there. Right? Paarl, little bit tricky. A lot of youngsters there, but Luandre was a shining star. David Miller's holding them together. They can make it work. Then the other three, I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, Tim, who's winning it all? To close it off, who is okay, your 4 making to the playoffs, and who's winning it all?
So Sunrisers, my Cape Town, Pretoria, Sunrisers, my Cape Pretoria. I'm missing, so not if it's not going to be Durban and it's not going to be Joburg, who am I missing?
Paarl.
And it's going to be between Paarl and Paarl or Sunrisers or my Cape Town. I'm going to go Paarl. Oh, no. If I say my Cape Town, it's going to be biased. So I'm going to go Paarl and Sunrisers. Final.
I'm going for the same final that was there last year. I agree with your 4 teams. It's Pretoria, Paarl, Sunrisers, MI Cape Town, and the final will be MI Cape Town and Sunrisers. And I think this year the Sunrisers go for their 3rd.
Alrighty.
Which is sad, but everyone else doesn't know how to do an auction. It's not that. I keep on playing with my mic. I need to move my hand up. But anyway, so that brings us to the end of our show. Please let us know who you think will win, who you think is going to be the number 1 run scorer, the number 1 wicket taker, which player you think we should watch out for. Tim's money's on Asa Tribe. I'm also in that boat. I want to see this kid. And we'll get to see him on the 27th of December when they play the Sunrise Eastern Cape. So we've got some really, really nice games to start off with. MI Cape Town hosts Durban SuperKings on the 26th. Pretoria Capitals and Joburg SuperKings in the basement, the battle of the squads we don't understand here in Joburg on the 27th. And then on the in Paarl on the 27th as well. It is Paarl Royals against Sunrise Eastern Cape. That's a match to watch. That is going to be a match to watch. But we'll talk about it as the tournament goes on. We're going to try to figure out how we do the content. It might be a one-on-one show, just going through some of the games and what we saw. But outside of that, just watch out for all the stuff. It is December, so welcome back. And remember, you can follow us across all our platforms. X at SA Cricket Pod. YouTube, if you're watching right now and you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. There's a lot of people who are watching without showing us some love. So please do show us some love on YouTube. Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as South African Cricket Podcast. And you can also buy some coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SA Cricket Pod. Remember, I'm going to put it up again for the end of the show. Is that QR code, that Buy Me a Coffee QR code. It's there at the top and the bottom. YouTube's at the bottom. And it's actually there on both. So you can decide, take your phone, do that. Your contributions are amazing. They'll help us provide more content here. I keep on playing with my mic. Sorry, I'll hold it like a pencil. But yeah, outside of that, from myself and Tim, it's goodbye and le sale kakahiso.